Greetings. Welcome back. I had an issue with my headset. I am now using AirPods Pro. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me continue, but do kindly drop a message on the chat box if you can hear me clearly. Thanks for joining. I am Sagar Nandi, retired IT professional, swing trading stocks using the Q systems and techniques that I develop. You may contact me using my email ID info@superiorprofit.co. I regularly share live market and stock analysis on my website superiorprofit.co, Twitter handle Superior Profit, and YouTube channel Trading Profitably. All of these are open to the public and you are most welcome to make use of them. Thanks a lot, Soma. Disclaimer, this demonstration is for educational purposes only. I'm not an investment advisor. It's not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. Options trading can be risky. You may refer to the characteristics and risk of standardized options document from OCC to decide if options trading is suitable for you. I use the Q systems for my trading. All the Q components work on Metastock platform and the technical analysis works on TradeStation as well. That was the last slide. Let's continue with a look at the world markets. I'll go through the world markets quickly and focus on some of the stocks that are giving possible short trades at the very top in the USA market. Australian market, all ordinaries index, it is going up, but it is near trendline resistance in daily and weekly, extended because it is above the upper boundary. I'll not like to buy. Instead, if it can go to the trendline resistance and reverses from there, I like to short, but not yet. I'll wait for the reversal. Topix index. This is also in an uptrend, has trendline support, no trendline resistance. Weekly has a narrow candle this week near the upper boundary. I'll not like to buy or short in Topix. China CSI 300 index. Also going up in an uptrend. Weekly came down from the open. The backdrop color is still bullish. It is still in an uptrend in daily weekly. However, it is at the upper boundary, too extended for me to short. And you notice it is hitting jump thrust high. That is too high a level that may not be sustainable. But I'm not going to short now. I'll wait for proper short setup if that comes before shorting. At present, no buying, no shorting. India's Nifty 50 index. It is inside a range created by trendline resistance and support. Came to the lower edge of the range on Wednesday. You could get ready on that day and you could buy on Thursday. At the close of Friday, it is too late to buy. It is right in the middle of the sidewise range. So I am not going to buy in this no trading area. You could buy on Friday. And we have a traders group. Some of the Indian traders shared some attractive buy the low opportunities on Friday. At present, I will not buy, I will not short. FTSE index, UK market. This is probably looking the most bullish, has trend line support in both weekly daily, but this is also extended too close to the upper boundary. I'm not going to buy. And this is another global market which has hit jump thrust high, jumped up too much too fast. That may not be sustainable, but before shorting, I look for proper short setup. Now we saw two of the global markets are near jump thrust high, and that is true for many of the USA market stocks. And that is why I shared some reasons to short, and I stopped buying in the USA market few days ago. Let's look back. Why I like to look back is because I analyze the market and stocks before knowing the results. I post them live on Twitter or on my website, and if they work out well, that shows that the analysis is powerful and profitable. Let's look at a tweet that I shared. The tweet was based on 2nd February's analysis. This analysis I was doing on the live market on 2nd February in the morning session about 10:50 a.m. This is the QH program. I keep it running throughout the trading session. And at that time, 10:50 a.m. New York time, I noticed that the percentage of stocks in the uppermost bucket that represents percentage of stocks above upper boundary, that hit 51%. That was too high. Whenever it hits 30-40% level, I stop buying, and in real time on 2nd Feb, I noticed it hit 51%. That was a clear signal for me to stop buying. And at that time, the market was very bullish. All the sectors were up by significant percentages. Sector industry stock advance decline breadth was also very bullish. It was very bullish, but it was extremely overbought. So I decided to stop buying. And I mentioned that these Q signals have served me well in the past, when to not buy, even if others are very bullish. And I have faith in them being valuable in future too. That was one reason. And another reason I did not buy came from the internal health check using market breadth total view. I saw that the percentage of stocks above 50-day moving average was near the extreme threshold, that is for total view, and for NYSE, when I drill down, that was already at the overbought level. Then the other extension indicator, 3-month new high low, was near upper extreme for total view, but when I drill down, I saw it hit the upper extreme for both NYSE as well as NASDAQ. And last but not the least, the warning signal came from Bango. This was designed by Mr. Ian Woodward, may him rest in peace. This signal tends to come near the market top when euphoric buying is taking place. I term it as buy everything, even those of not value, and usually that is not sustainable, especially if it is coming near the high after the market has rallied for a number of days and weeks. And if you notice this market breadth total view chart, Bango tends to come only near the high. That was another cautionary signal for which I stopped buying. Now let's look at these indicators as of today, how they helped me or did they help me. Let's look at the market breadth total view as of today. After the Bango, price has reversed. Is it in a downtrend? No. market breadth total view is still in an uptrend. Currently, small cap is in favor and growth is in favor. But am I going to buy? No. If you followed me on Twitter and on my website, you would notice that for last couple of days, I am not sharing any buy ideas. On Friday, I shared a number of bearish ideas and I took several of them. I'll review those ideas that I shared. Now, market is at a very high level. It showed euphoric buying, and that is the time I am starting to short. That's my way of trading. I'm a little bit ahead of others, sometimes a lot ahead of others, and these robust signals combined with proper Q short setups allow me to short the top. That was market breadth total view as of Friday's close. How about the buckets? I saw on the tweet, I showed that just now, that percentage of stock at the uppermost bucket hit more than 51%, and see where it is at Friday's close. From 51%, it has come down to 19%. What does it show? It shows that many stocks that were above upper boundary, they pulled back. And that is again tying to my tweet earlier that I want to look for shorting ideas at the very top. And how do I find them? Using Q systems, I will show that. Market is still very bullish. 81% of stocks are above the mid-Bollinger Band. That's bullish. That's why I'm trying to short the top. If I look at the sector industry stock advanced decline breadth from 1 month to 1 day, the longer term periods, M1, that's month 1 and 10 days, both are bullish. Intermediate period, 5 days is bullish. Short term today is still bullish, but 1 day, Friday's picture is very bearish, and the bullishness is clearly reducing from longer term to shorter term. Therefore, Friday would be the optimal time to short. Why do I say optimal time? Because the stop loss would be very narrow. That is a constant in all my trades. QH has some reason to short. Q market breadth has some reason to short. What about technical breadth? Technical breadth using Q Finder. In the last weekend market recap also, I showed the percentage of stocks showing bearish headwind in the daily interval hit the upper threshold, and that is true this weekend also. Daily interval has an alert from there, and of course on Friday, percentage 87% of all signals are bearish, strength signals 92% bearish, continuation 74%, even reversal 85% bearish. So on Friday, it is predominantly bearish all across the categories. When I see the momentum 1 dot, I see that those which were somewhat bullish or somewhat bearish, they are tying approximately same percentage, exactly same percentage in fact. Whereas if I see stocks that are very bullish or very bearish, at least 3 momentum dots on either side, then I see it is very much on the bearish side. That means stocks that fell by big bearish momentum. And the last plot, bottom right corner, is showing that 35% of the stocks are still at or near jump thrust high, whereas only 5% stocks are at or near jump thrust low. That means, again, if I am trying to short, I am trying to short at the very top. Now, in the last market recap, when I showed the percentage of daily bearish headwinds hitting threshold, upper threshold, I mentioned that this signal is more valuable if it is coming from the weekly interval. And this week, I see that the percentage of bearish headwinds in the weekly interval has also hit the upper threshold. So that's an extreme level. A reversal is possible. The weekly picture is still bullish, but there are enough reversal signals for me to look for short setups. Those were the breadth insights from market breadth total view from QH and QFinder. Now let's look at the market ETFs, the external view. Now before I look at that, let me look at one tweet I shared. That was on Friday. And see the timing. I shared it on Friday, 10:12 a.m. Which market ETF to use if you wanted to short? And I chose for different reasons, either IWM or DIA. Let's look at the detailed post. There is a learning from this and other posts. Let's look at it in detail. You may go through the post later. All these posts on my website under this forum are open to the public. I'll not go through the entire text, but let's look at the charts when I shared it in the morning session on Friday. This is IWM, weekly daily. It's clearly going up in an uptrend in both weekly daily. Still, I chose IWM as a possible shorting candidate. Why? Because from other breadth insights and from Bango specifically, there were bearish indications on the market. And I noticed IWM was the only market ETF that hit jump thrust high extreme. That is not sustainable usually. Usually the instrument pulls back after that. May not pull back immediately, but it tends to pull back. So I decided to short, and I shared the idea in the morning session for IWM, and I shorted using bearish options verticals so that even if it goes up for a while next week and then comes back before expiry, comes down again before expiry, I'll still have a profit. That's why when I'm taking reversal trades at the very top, I like to use options vertical. I don't like to use the ETF or the stock. That was one reason I chose IWM. And if you looked at proper bearish setup, then this is DIA using daily weekly. That was my second pick. DIA had trendline resistance in weekly and daily both. It was the only market ETF that had the daily traffic candle color red, that is bearish. It was inside a range at the upper edge of the range, reversing from there. That was also a clear choice for shorting. So I chose two of them. Now probably IWM options are more liquid, easier to trade than DIA. If you were trading futures, probably RTY is a bit easier to trade than YM. So I took a bearish position in IWM using bearish verticals. That was because of my bearish view on the market as a reversal trade. Now, if you go to my website, there is a Traders Club. For India, we have the Traders Club on WhatsApp. For USA market, we have the Traders Club here on the website. And there I shared some possible shorting ideas. Let's look at them one by one. Let's look at the tweet. Want lucrative short trades, and this I am sharing 2:42 p.m. New York time on Friday. Want lucrative short trades. When a stock is at jump thrust high, it has gone up too far, too fast, and may pull back. Wait for reversal signals to short or close long positions. And these were the stocks I shared. The ticker symbols were in the club. Let's look at the three tickers: DNB, GE, and CMCSA. You will see how beautifully Q is helping me to find these trades. Dun & Bradstreet, DNB. DNB is clearly in an uptrend. Not many people like to short, but Q is a unique system in that way. It has multiple reliable and proven short setups for different market conditions. The bearish headwind is a possible reversal setup in trending market, uptrending market, and then reversing. That signal came when price was near the watermark pivot resistance. Right after bearish headwind, price gapped down and closed with a bearish indecision candle as well. Once again, as of now at least, the bearish headwind has caught the very top. And this was happening when the stock was at jump thrust high. The bear release also came on Friday. Those were enough signals to short the stock, and I took a short position in DNB on Friday using stocks. I used the intraday analysis, so I have a small profit in the trade, just like I have a small profit in the IWM bearish vertical trade. The next stock was GE, wasn't it? GE and CMCSA. Let's look at CMCSA first, Comcast. What do we see here? Again, a stock at jump thrust high, usually unsustainable up move. We have a bearish headwind at the same level where bearish headwind came a few days earlier. On Thursday, price tried to go up. Remember, on Thursday, we had euphoric buying, buy everything. Tried to go up on Thursday. On Friday, it created a false upside breakout, came down with bearish headwind again, and that is happening right when weekly is reversing from trendline resistance after displaying a bearish indecision signal. We also had bearish pressure on Friday and a bear release signal. Those signals were enough for me to take a short trade on Comcast. I have used verticals for that, bearish options verticals. The last one in that tweet was GE, and the pattern is same in all these three stocks. What pattern? Stock at jump thrust high, a level that is usually unsustainable, and then we have some reversal signal from there. Interestingly, GE also has multiple bearish headwinds. On Thursday, we had euphoric buying, Bango. It tried to go up. On Friday, it came down, created a false upside breakout. weekly is showing bearish indecision at the top after a very long rally from the bottom. Also, we have a bear release signal on Friday. Now, for GE, you might be cautious. At the close on Friday, you would not short it if you followed Q techniques because a trend line support is nearby. You might wait for price to break below the trend line support next week if that happens and then short it. Or you could short it on Friday using intraday charts, precision entry charts, and I did that. For GE also, options are liquid and I used bearish verticals. Because I could precisely entry the trade during the day, I took it. If it was at the close of the day, I wouldn't short it. Now for this stock, I would also, if I remember correctly, let's look at it using the 3 chart template. No, this is not the stock I wanted to show with the 3 chart template. Let's close it. So that was one of my tweets on Friday sharing bearish ideas. There was another tweet on Friday sharing bearish ideas, and that was describing a different pattern. See the different patterns I'm using to find bearish trades. Just now I showed you stocks at the very high, jump thrust high, showing headwind reversal signal. And now I am finding trades from a different pattern. If a trend following short is also a breakout short, that is a time to sell if the risk stop is narrow. Why I added that if condition is because sometimes the breakouts don't give low risk entry point. But in this case, we had that. And if we have a gap down stock, that is also icing on the cake, not case. And this chart showed exactly that. A stock that was going down with lower high created a lower low on Friday, broke from trend line support, broke out of the triangle pattern, gave a flow short setup and also gave a breakout short setup. And that could be read easily from the commentary. It's a beautiful health program, part of Q Global. It showed that this stock had a possible breakout setup as well as trend following short setup. This was AU. Now let's look at AU today. AU. It closed at the very low, the breakout as well as the trend following short setup, both are confirmed. Now AU is a gold miner. Notice that it also came near jump thrust high sometime earlier, and now you can see why I say that this jump thrust high is usually not sustainable. It was indeed not sustainable in this case. Right after hitting jump thrust high, started to come down, and now we have a trend following plus breakdown short setup. And remember this pattern in opposite that I discussed in case of Tesla, somewhat similar, not exactly same, somewhat similar. After hitting jump thrust high, now it has displayed a big move down 3. More likely than not, it will continue the down move. May not continue right on Monday, but it's likely that it will continue the down move from here. And this also had a gap down open on Friday. Now, probably this is the stock I would like to look at with the momentum signals. The stocks that I was shorting at the very high, jump thrust high, I showed the GE chart that did not have any bearish momentum. What does it mean? If you are trying to short the very high, you don't look for so much bearish momentum. But this is not shorting the very high. This is shorting a breakdown and trend following setup. In that case, you may look for momentum. And that is also a distinction between how Q traders like me trade and how momentum traders trade, like HSI like traders or IBD traders. They are always looking for trend following trades. Then I will miss a lot of shorting ideas that I tweeted. But this is a trend following short and a breakout short. This is probably the stock where I may open the momentum signals. We have Bongo red, gap down, Kahuna, pocket pivot. 1, 2, 3, 4 bearish momentums. When I was showing Friday's Q Finder technical breadth, I showed that there were many stocks with 3 red dots or more, large percentage of stocks, and this was one of them. So you could find AU as a bearish candidate from the momentum signals in Finder, and of course you could find it from the Q signals in Finder. For me, the Q setups are the proper setups, and I don't mind looking at the momentum signals, but they reinforce the Q setup, not the other way around. Now, are there other short trades? Probably many. Either shorting the top or momentum short trades. Before looking at that, let's look at the market ETFs. IWM, I mentioned I shorted it on Friday, but it is still bullish, isn't it? It's at jump thrust high. Now, let me explain how I shorted it using the precision entry chart. That is the fine-tune chart. In the morning session, I use 5-minute interval. In the afternoon session, I use 10-minute interval. Now, I shorted IWM in the morning session when it came here and reversed from there. And if you were watching IWM or RTY, the futures, I keep an eye on the futures throughout the day, just like I keep an eye on QH throughout the day. RTY, the futures equivalent of IWM, had 3, 4, 5 trendline resistances here. It was struggling to go up. Then I had a down candle. I was using 5-minute interval at that time. So I shorted, but because it is in a strong uptrend in daily, as I mentioned, I did not use ETF. I used bearish verticals. I used, in this case, actually long put vertical, not short call vertical. Tried to come down, go up again, could not breach the previous high, closed at a lower level, so my bearish vertical has a small profit. This is another example of a stock where I am, or ETF, where I am shorting the very high. SPY, what I want to show that none of the market ETFs are actually bearish, maybe other than DIA. SPY has a very bearish, ominous looking candle on Friday, but other than that, weekly, daily are quite strong. QQQ, again, a ominous looking candle on Friday, but other than that, nothing bearish about this stock. Well, it is near jump thrust high. And DIA is looking very different, closed very differently. At trendline resistance, could not go up at the upper edge of a triangle pattern. So market is still very bullish, but I'm already starting to short based on overextension and based on jump thrust. Now let's try to find some stocks from QFinder now using different approaches. And then I will, if I have some time, I think I have some time, I'll also like to do top-down analysis. I have not done that for a while. Why don't I do that first? Let's go to QH. First thing I see, the breadth was bearish across sectors, industry, stocks. So I'm going to look for short candidates. I could drill down to sectors, look for the weakest sectors, or I could directly go to industries. In my actual trading, I like to look at the sectors, but go to the industries. I don't do sector drill down and then go to industries. So that is also possible, but doing so, you will miss some weak industries because the other industries in the same sector may show strength and you will miss the industry that is very weak. So in real trading, I directly go to industries, look at the weakest 20% of industries and try to find short ideas from there. But for now, let's also look at the sectors using sector rotation scorecard, sort by Friday's strength weakness. Now, one thing to notice that on Friday, other than financials, everything was down. The weakest were real estate and communications. CMCSA, Comcast that I shared, that was probably in communication services. But notice AU. AU is a gold miner. That's a beautiful short setup in my view. That is in materials. So that proves the statement I made that if I am doing strictly sector to industry to stock top-down analysis, I will miss the weak stocks in gold because as a sector, materials is in the middle, neither the strongest nor the weakest. I would not like to miss such beautiful shots. That's why I look at the sector scorecard. What it is telling, financials is stronger, is non-defensive. At the bottom, we actually have defensive sectors, real estate, com services, utilities. Especially utilities and real estate are very defensive, but they are at the bottom. That is one reason I don't like to find trading ideas based on sector rotation. Let's go to industries instead. Sort by Friday's weakness in this case. And now see, once again, it proves the statement I made. It is much more practical to find trade ideas from industry strength or weakness. AU was a beautiful shot on technical charts and see its industry gold miner is the worst performing on Friday. Came down by a massive 3.8%. Let's choose the bottom 20% of all industries. You can see all of them went down by more than 2%. Now let's drill down into the stocks. Now, which stocks do I want to drill down? I want to drill down to my own trading universe, that is all liquid stocks. Let's get that from trading universe, all liquid stocks. Let's calculate a stock scorecard in real time. Give it a few seconds. I hope it will finish in a few seconds. Then I will show exactly how I trade. I don't like to drill down to S&P 1500 stocks that are in Q edge, but I like to drill down into my own trading universe, that is all liquid stocks, that is at least 500,000 shares traded per day that are above $5. Let's calculate a scorecard of those stocks. This updated data was retrieved from Zenith Refinitiv in real time, and the data is updated. And you notice that in this universe also, my liquid stocks trading universe, 77% of stocks were down. So I am looking for bearish trades. Once the scorecard is created, I go back to industry rotation analysis, choose the bottom 20% of industries and drill down into those industry stocks only. Now notice something interesting. If I go to home of all the liquid stocks, 77% were down on Friday. But when I choose the stocks in the worst performing industries, bottom 20%, what percentage of stocks are down? Not 70, 80, it's a massive 95% stocks were down. What does it show? It shows that industry strength weakness matters. It matters a lot. That is why I like to short only from weak industries. And now we see 95% of these stocks are down that are in weakest industries. But I also like to short weak fundamental stocks. Well, for shorting the top, sometimes I may ignore the fundamentals. That is only one case where I ignore one dimension for shorting or for shorting the top. So we could look for weak fundamentals, which is not required now because the market is at a very high level. Instead, let me look for stocks that were down by at least 1%. Let's start with that. I still have 228 stocks that are all down, of course. Some are down by a massive percentage. And again, all these are timed together. Remember, in Q Finder, I showed that stocks with one momentum signal, they are balanced between bullish and bearish side, but stocks with three momentum signals are much more on the bearish side. These were those stocks probably. Let's look at some of them, but I see there are 228. I'm doing it live, so let's apply the filter for only weak fundamental stocks with a single click. Now I am left with 120 stocks, but do they have trade setups? I don't want to open 120 charts one by one, so I'm going to look up these stocks from Q Finder with a single click. I have these stocks and I am going to look for stocks with at least one Q trade setup using this button. Now see, I am left with 49 stocks only. What are these 49 stocks? I started with a large universe of all liquid stocks in the USA market. I looked at only those stocks that belong to the weakest industries, bottom weak 20% industries. I was left with reduced stocks. I looked for weak fundamental stocks, either in terms of valuation or growth. Then I looked for proper Q trade setup. We'll have to confirm the setup looking at the charts, applying the unambiguous checklist, but now I am left with 49 stocks. Now, some traders are preferring breakout trades. They may look at 6 stocks. It's easy to look at those 6 stocks. Some may like headwind reversal trades, very contrarian trade. I showed several shorting ideas using headwind signals. You could look for that. Or you could also look for sideways market, box setup, flow trend following setup, or pullback, also a trend following setup. If the numbers of stocks in these categories of your interest is not large, you could simply flag by those categories. Let's do for breakout, and we could open the charts from here. Now, before opening, I can also correlate with the momentum signals. Let's do that with a single click. These are 6 breakout candidates, and I see that several of them have momentum bearish signals also. But I don't need the momentum signals. They are nice to have. My trade setups come from Q signals. So it's only 6 stocks. I am able to open them. Let me, in this case, open using Q Elite on TradeStation. Get the stocks here. And then we could look at them on Q Elite, or we could simply open them using the single click using Q Global on Metastock. I am relieved that the sound is going okay so far. Well, let's try to find some trading ideas from here. This is BVN. It has a breakdown on Friday. Notice when a cluster of indecision signal came, we were ready to short it. Remember, I always say one indecision is something we note, and when cluster of them come together, we take them seriously. But there was a trendline support nearby. I wouldn't short it before that. The trendline support broke on Friday. However, Friday's candle is indecisive. So I am not going to short this stock on Friday. Okay, close it. This is a different story. SSRM, SSR Mining, also a gold mining stock. And just now we saw gold mining was the worst performing industry on Friday. I already shorted one stock, AU, in that industry. This stock SSRM is also giving a breakdown short setup. Next one, BILI, Bilibili. Beautiful pattern, isn't it? Why I say that? See again, jump thrust high. Continued for a while. It was not sustainable, and that was happening when the stock was at a very long-term trendline resistance. That resistance held. Started to come down, and on Friday, it broke below the sideways narrow range, broke below the trend line support, giving a breakdown short setup. Stop is narrow. You could trade it, but I would like to look at it using the weekly daily. Well, weekly is also bearish. Relative performance tilting down. We have a confirmed breakout setup after price hit jump thrust high. And in the momentum signals, we have Bongo red and we have MOBO breakdown. price is coming out of a Q volatility squeeze. So BILI is giving a short setup. Now we already know it is weak in terms of fundamentals, either in terms of valuation or growth. That's how we selected, but now we may look in more detail about the fundamental using Q Vital, real-time fundamental and PR analysis tool, BILI. Let's check that out. Retrieving the PRs now, or already retrieved data about the stock. Now retrieving the PRs, and then it will retrieve the scorecard for the PRs. Great. Now let's look at the scorecard. I looked for at least some weakness in terms of valuation and growth, and this stock is much more weak than that. We can read it using the color coding. Overvalued stock, very poor earnings quality, EPS growth is also negative, coming down. Funds have no intention of buying it. EPS is showing the company does not make money. The earnings is in March, first week, 1st of March. And 88% of PR stocks in interactive home entertainment online services industry, they are down. The fundamentals are very weak, and BILI, BILI has a proper low risk breakdown short setup. Let's look at some of the other stocks we found. This is TIMB, has a nice breakdown from narrow range. However, this is a jump thrust low. See how I'm using all the signals together. I like to short at jump thrust high, price extreme high, overbought stocks, above upper boundary, or trend following stocks. But I am reluctant to short stocks that are showing jump thrust low. So I will pass this. Close. Now SAVE, SAFE, Spirit Airlines. It did break some of the trend line supports, but there are many more trend line supports nearby. Not going to short it. Close. Dash. This is looking interesting. Let me explain. It has jump at extreme level, not thrust, but jump. That means it has gone up too far. It didn't go up that far very fast, but it went up too far. And right at that place, it broke the trend line support with a bearish headwind, unique reversal signal. Traffic light candle color turned red, and the drop on Friday happened with big move down 3. Unusually high selling with bearish pressure and bearish U-turn. Now notice once again how Q systems helped me on Thursday not to buy. On Thursday it did go up. On Thursday it did give a possible flow trend following setup, but that was euphoric buying shown by Bango in market breadth total view and shown by bucket analysis in QH. So though many stocks went up, that was euphoric buying, overextended market, I did not buy. And that was very helpful. Very next day, the stock in fact created a false upside breakout at the watermark resistance and gave a possible headwind reversal setup with many bearish signals. I like to look at it using multiple charts. Let's do that. Weekly, daily, both. the weekly candle shape is mixed. You may say it is bearish candle, you may say it is mixed. If you say it is bearish candle, then it is confirming a short setup. I would not mind shorting it because it has big move down 3. Now, before confirming that statement, I did not short it on Friday. Therefore, if I am looking at it on Monday, I'll use precision entry chart 5-minute interval in the morning session to look for shorting entry. But before confirming that statement, let's look at Dash. Fundamental. Once again, I know it is weak in one way or another, either in terms of valuation or growth, but let's see. It happens to be in the same industry as Billy. That industry was very weak. And I see its fundamentals are also weak. There are some things common between these two stocks, Billy and Dash, some things not common. Let's look at that. For Billy, it was overvalued, but for Dash, it is medium valued. For Billy, it was somewhat negative earnings growth, but here we have very high negative earnings growth and it is rapidly declining earnings growth for 3 quarters in a row. So in terms of valuation, it's different, little bit stronger. In terms of earnings growth, it's very weak, much more weak than Billy. And for both of them, funds have no interest of buying. For both of them, the companies are losing money. And for this stock also, earnings is not very far away. The fundamentals are allowing me to short. I know already that this industry is among the top 20, among the bottom 20%. So we have a 360 degrees short setup here. Now, once again, see this stock is actually in an uptrend now. I'm using a reversal setup and breakdown at the top to short it with very bearish signals in Q. But it is still in an uptrend, so I'm not expecting many bearish momentums. That's why if you use just momentum signals, you will miss many opportunities. It did have a gap down move on Friday and it has pocket pivot. But Q signals are much more useful to short the top, as you can see. Those were the stocks. And how we found them? We found them using top-down analysis. Looked at Q edge, the overall market breadth, saw it was weak, went to the industries, found the weakest 20% industries, looked at our stock universe, stocks in those weak industries, looked for weak fundamental stocks, then looked for Q trade setups from Q Finder, further looked for breakdown trades. We could look for other kinds of trades also. So that was top down. And I would like to spend some more minutes on bottom up using Q Finder first. And I will do it in one way. In different sessions, I do it in different ways. You may mix and match them according to your preferred workflow. Let me, in this case, go to the momentum signals first. And I'm going to look for, okay, let me explain why I'm doing that. I saw when we think about very bullish or very bearish, the very bearish stocks are much more. In terms of somewhat bearish, somewhat bullish, they are mixed. So if I'm going to look for shorting ideas, I may directly go through minimum 3 dots bearish. Then I will have a bigger universe to scout for shorting ideas. So that insight I am getting from this unique technical breadth. To my knowledge, this is the only tool available that can show technical breadth in real time by scanning the market in real time using Q Global, visualizing the technical breadth on Q Finder, and then drilling down to find trade ideas. So let's go to the momentum signals, look for 3 bearish dots. So I have 109 stocks. But remember, I am not going to trade based on momentums. I trade based on Q setups. So I'm going to use a single click to look up these stocks in Q signals and setups, 109 stocks, but I am interested first because this number is very large. I can quickly go to the stocks with some kind of trade setup. And now I am left with 65 stocks. And you can see there are breakouts, there are box headwinds. Interestingly, there are 5 headwinds in this category with at least 3 bearish momentum signals. One of them is DoorDash. We already saw that. Let's remove it. We still have 4 more. GoPro Sina AVTR 2. Let's look at these stocks. What are these? These are showing at least 3 bearish momentum and headwind reversal setup. I can see all of them are at price extreme middle, not at high. That's fine. They are still giving headwind reversal. Let's see if we can find some trade setup from there. See how many different ways you may use Q systems depending on your liking of workflows. I'm thinking we'll find some short ideas from here. Let's see. TWO has a bearish headwind. In fact, it is near jump thrust high, fell with big move down 3, very bearish selling. However, there is a trend line support nearby, so I'm not going to short 2, close. AVTR, this I am inclined to short. Let me look at it in more detail using the 3 chart template, and I'll explain how in 10 seconds or less, 2-3 seconds, I could decide that I would like to short it. That was because, again, it was at jump thrust high, unsustainable high level. At that high level came the unique bearish headwind reversal signal, and price fell with big move down 3 with bearish pressure, with bearish release, with extreme high volume. Weekly backdrop color is neutral, shape is also neutral, has a bear release. If you applied the checklist conditions for headwind reversal trade setup, those conditions are met. Relative performance is very weak, so it is giving me a headwind reversal short setup. And I started in this case with at least 3 bearish momentum dots. How many we have here? Bongo red 1, PSAR reversal 2, pocket pivot 3, Mobo breakdown 4, Kahuna 5, gap down 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 momentum. Minimum 3 I searched for, it has 6. And then I have a proper Q short setup. So using the Q charts, I decided to short using headwind reversal setup. Again, this is not a stock in a downtrend, isn't it? It's in an uptrend. And the reversal setups in Q are very unique. So AVTR, I may short. Let's look at it using fundamentals also. How is the fundamentals? Now, this is a case where fundamentals are not very weak, but it is weak enough that allows me to short. And let me explain. Valuation is good. The company is profitable. Earnings growth is not very negative, but somewhat negative. Now, why did I say it still allows me to short? Because I looked at the graph on the right hand side. Both earnings growth and revenue growth are sharply coming down. Yes, the earnings growth is not very weak yet, but it is sharply coming down. And that is also true for revenue growth. That's a stock I am willing to short. By the time earnings growth becomes very negative, it would have dropped significantly already. So the sharp decline that I can read from the number, or even better, I can look from the graphs, allows me to short the stock. The industry is very weak. So AVTR has many bearish momentums with a headwind reversal short setup. I'll not look at the other stocks. Instead, I would like to spend few more minutes. I know we are at 1 hour point. Instead of headwinds, let's now look at the breakouts. We have 28 breakouts with at least 3 bearish momentum. Let's look at the momentum signals once more. And I see 28 total signals, but some of them are inside a squeeze. Let's filter for squeeze, then also filter for this very useful pattern, Mobo breakdown from a squeeze with a kahuna. So I'm left with 10 symbols. And they are all breakout candidates in Q. Okay, let's spend some time on these stocks, 10 stocks. So I'm not going to use Q global this time. Sometimes I want to use Q elite also. So that trade station is not very unhappy with me. Let's look at these stocks using the 2-chart template. That will suffice. SILV, that's a very beautiful breakdown. Wait, I want to use the 3-chart template. So let's first look here, and then I also want to look at the momentum signals. SILV. Beautiful breakdown, beautiful short setup, no doubt about that. Clear breakdown in daily, weekly, both. This is SILV, silver crest. Bearish flow. Also big move down 3, bearish pressure. You can ignore the last dot. In the momentum signals, plenty. Bongo, red. Pocket pivot, Mobo breakout from a squeeze with kahuna. That's what I searched for. Also a gap down move. So this is a very clear short setup, SILV. Why don't I look at its fundamentals? This is bottom up, so I did not look at its fundamentals yet. And maybe after this, I will end today's session. If fundamentals are weak, I will stop. If not, I will try to look for a 360-degree short candidate from this analysis. This is a gold miner or silver miner. Silver crest is the name, maybe silver industry, precious metal. Now, fundamentals are not very clear. Valuation is not there, but valuation secondary is very weak. So we can say valuation is weak. 100% of peer stocks are down. Not true, because it did not retrieve the peers. Let's stop and play again. Okay, it is not able to find the peers. In any case, looking at the secondary valuation, you might consider shorting. The chart is very weak, very weak. Now, one concern is the stop would be far away. So using daily chart, you might not want to short it at the close on Friday. If you shorted it right when it was breaking down, and could you do that? Yes, because the Q scan should identify it as a breakdown in real time, be it Q Elite on TradeStation or Q Global Finder on MetaStock. You could identify it during the day and you could short it at a higher price level. At the close on Friday, in my view, the stop is too far to short. You may, in that case, watch it on Monday. Let's look at the other stocks quickly. Herbalife, HLF, down by 9%. This is also looking weak, bearish headwind. Weekly reversing from trendline resistance. Daily broke below trendline support, but it has a lower tail. I'll not like to short at the close on Friday. Next, KDNY, down 5%. This is a shorting candidate. Let's look at KDNY using 3-chart template, also fundamentals. KDNY using 3-chart template. Fundamentals are very weak, so it allows me to short. Instantly, I saw that it's a biotech stock. Let it retrieve the PRs. The chart is here by then. The weekly backdrop is bearish, candle shape is bearish. Daily was moving sideways inside a range created by trendline resistance support. Now it has a decisive breakdown and it has a possible flow short setup also. At price extreme high and reversing, was at jump thrust high a while ago. Once again, you see, once it hits jump thrust high, the up move was not sustainable. In fact, it displayed the unique bearish headwind at the very top, moved sideways for a while. You could use the bearish headwind to short the stock. Preferred instrument would be bearish vertical option trade, not using the stock itself. And now it is breaking down with Mobo breakdown from a squeeze with Kahuna Bongo Red. So KDNY is a 360-degree short idea with many bearish momentums. And let's look at the fundamentals. Overvalued stock with negative earnings growth. Funds have no intention of buying it. Company doesn't make money. So fundamentals allow me to short. So this is a 360-degree short idea. Well, I didn't look at the industry. Let's look up the industry. I'm doing this bottom up now. The industry is in the middle, but it is a biotech. Biotechs can go down on its own, can go up on its own. So for biotechs, I don't need to have weak industry. This allows me to short the stock. If you are willing to short biotech stocks, why not this stock KDNY? I showed different ways of finding trade setups in this market, which is at a very high level. Many people are not willing to short, but I found shorting ideas, shared them on Friday and shared more today. You may keep an eye on similar stocks. One constant that I keep in all my trades is the risk is narrow. So if the market rallies again, I'll get stopped out with small loss. That has served me well in the past, even in last year, and I'm quite confident it will serve me well this year as well. Thanks once again for joining me in the repeat session. The last session I tried, my audio was not good. Apple is great. This is AirPods Pro. Thanks to Apple. Have a great weekend. And as I always say, as these live examples show, no reason not to do that. Trade profitably. Thank you.